Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 12th September 2023. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been talking about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in my past videos. Hence, kindly subscribe to my vlog and press the bell icon so that I may continue to remind you of my past and future videos. So let us continue with the topic for discussion for today's video. In the past few videos, we have been trying to find out the connection between the three subtle bodies and the fourth Kundalini serpent and chakras of the gross body of a human living entity, along with their permutation and combination, which is directly or indirectly connected to the three modes of material nature and their own false ego. We already know that there are three subtle bodies, namely the causal body of intelligence and logic, the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, and the etheric body of senses, being five in number, which are sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, plus the three modes of material nature, namely the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Along with this comes the catalyst called false ego. False ego is when a living entity, a human living entity, identifies himself or herself with his or her body, being four layers in number as mentioned before, plus the Kundalini serpent of energy, which, when activated through various types of yoga, starts slithering through the tunnel caused by the spinal cord of a human living entity and go to rest in various chakras according to the yogas performed by that human living entity deliberately or otherwise, knowingly or unknowingly, by default or by design. In this process, we had divided the six chakras of the Kundalini into three pairs each of two in number, and we have already discussed about the first pair of Mooladhara chakra and Swadhisthana chakra, the second pair of Manipuraka chakra and the Anahata chakra, and the first among the third pair of Vishuddhi or Vishuddha chakra. Today, in this video, we shall talk about the second among the third pair of the Kundalini chakras. The third pair has two chakras, namely Vishuddha and Agya chakra. We have already discussed about this Vishuddha or Vishuddhi chakra in detail in my previous video. Today we shall discuss about the Agya chakra. Agya chakra in English is also pronounced as Agna chakra because the spelling of the same Agya chakra in English is A G N A. Agna. Agna chakra. What is this Agya chakra? Agya chakra is the sixth among the six lower chakras of the human living entity. It is situated in between the two eyebrows of a human living entity in the shape of a third eye, which, unlike the other two natural eyes, this time opens inwards. It does not open outside into the material world, but it opens inwards to gaze at the brain of this human living entity. Brain is a mass of tissue made up of trillions of cells, veins, nerves, etc., and is supposed to be the most complex instrument ever created in this material world, and it is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or nature. This brain is the bridge between the three subtle bodies and the gross body of the human living entity. Vibrations emanate out of these three subtle bodies and are transmitted to this brain. This brain is exactly like the hard disk of any computer or mobile phone. This brain receives all these vibrations continuously, prefers some of them, chews on them, masticates on them, extracts some juice, and percolates that juice into the rest of the gross body of that living entity. according to the quality of the juice thus percolated. This living entity reacts into this material world. We have already discussed in detail about these facts and figures. Now, today we shall talk about this sixth chakra. This sixth chakra, called Agya chakra, is activated by what is known as Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana means meditation. The meditation process of a human living entity within himself or herself is known as dhyana. This dhyana may be on material subjects or on spiritual subjects. When it is on the material subjects, this meditation is named as contemplation. On the other hand, when it is purely on spiritual subjects, it is known as meditation. When the Dhyana Yoga is activated by a human living entity, his or her Kundalini serpent, which was hitherto resting at the fifth Vishuddhi chakra, again wakes up and begins slithering through the tunnel of the spinal cord and reaches this figure or third eye, which is situated in between the two eyebrows of that human living entity. From here, this human living entity, according to his or her destiny, karma, taste, preference, intelligence, maturity, education, experience, and evolvement, selects whether to contemplate on the material objects or to meditate on the spiritual objects. Now comes the relationship between this Kundalini chakra, the subtle bodies of the human living entity, and the three modes of material nature of the same human living entity, plus his or her false ego. This false ego is a glue which joins the subtle bodies, the modes of material nature, and the gross body together and acts as a catalyst in that process so that the collective efforts of all these make up for the action of that human living entity in this material world. The false ego may be that of an ordinary human being, a laborer, a worker, a musician, an electrician, a carpenter, a lecturer, a professor, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, an intellectual, a philosopher, a monk, a rishi, or a maharishi, and so on. This ego depends on the factors that I have mentioned before to exhibit its qualities in a particular human living entity. The ego, the false ego of every human living entity differs according to the factors mentioned before by me, namely his or her destiny, karma, evolvement, etc. Now we will take one particular human living entity. Because he or she has already made his or her Kundalini chakra reach the Agya chakra or the meditative chakra, the Kundalini serpent has already reached the Agya or meditative chakra. That naturally means that this human living entity belongs to the first mode of material nature, that is goodness. People of this kind, along with those in the Vishuddha chakra, answer to the causal body of intelligence and logic naturally. Their cerebral faculties are more developed and in working process than their physical aspects, unlike those of people who are resting in the Mooladhara or Swadhisthana chakra. Usually, people whose Kundalini serpent has reached the Agya chakra become either contemplative or meditative. They make for great philosophers, intellectuals, thinkers, rishis, maharishis, monks, saints, etc. People who use their cerebral faculties to develop new theories, ideas, views, opinions, etc. These people are not so much materialistically inclined as those from the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, or Anahata chakra. Even the first among the third pair, that is the Vishuddha chakra, is more materialistically inclined than those in the Agya chakra. These people in the Agya chakra, for most of the time, are in a trance and in a meditative or contemplative mood. Now, if the human living entity in question is already in the Agya chakra, then naturally his brain or her brain must be selecting only vibrations from the causal body of intelligence and logic and think and ponder over them dispassionately. They would be processing these vibrations from the causal body of intelligence in such a way that that particular human living entity reacts accordingly. On the other hand, If in rare cases such a meditative or contemplative person answers to his or her mode of passion, which is quite rare, then like Lord Parashurama, one of the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the same meditative and intellectually inclined person becomes passionate and starts annihilating the wrongdoers in this material world. Lord Krishna has already mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. That means whenever the wrongdoers harm this Bharat Varsha or India, tada tadatmanam sujanyam. That is, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata tabyuthanam atharmasya sada. That is, I'm forgetting this shloka, but I will tell you, whenever wrongdoing and evil rears its ugly head to harm this Bharatvarsha or this material world and to harm the humanity, then I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, incarnate to annihilate these evildoers and this evil. And this has been happening to me for time immemorial. That is, it is a continuous process from time to time. I have incarnated several times only to annihilate this evil in the material world and to establish dharma or law and order in this material world. I would like to recite this poem or this shloka once again. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत तद्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय दुष्कृतां भक्तधर्म धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय Sambhavami yuge yuge. That is, God declares that He incarnates into this material world to annihilate the evil and to kill the evil doers, to establish dharma, to protect the good people, and to annihilate the bad people. Lord Parashurama, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is one such person. He incarnated here to annihilate some wrongdoers. He was born to a monk, and ordinarily he must have been and remained a monk, a rishi, or a maharishi, and concentrated only on the vibrations from the causal body of intelligence and logic. He ordinarily must have been situated in the mode of goodness in this material world. But however, due to circumstances, he had to come down to the mode of passion to annihilate the evildoers and to protect the good people. Such also was the case with Acharya Drona, who was actually a teacher of martial arts to the Kaurava and the Pandava princes, but who, due to circumstances beyond his control, had to participate in the Kurukshetra war, which is directly connected to the mode of passion. Of course, it looks as if these people's false ego, anger, greed, etc., played a large part, played a large part in their behaving in this fashion. But this is only an eyewash. They came here only to serve a purpose and not to personally benefit from their actions. The same people may, due to some circumstances, go down to the mode of ignorance, but this is very, 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 very rare. Yes, it is quite possible that a person from the mode of ignorance may graduate to the mode of passion, or a person from the mode of passion graduates to the mode of goodness, like sage Vishwamitra, who was born in the mode of passion, but thanks to his own cerebral faculties and his untiring meditation, came to be known as a Brahma Rishi and started to listen to the vibrations of the causal body of intelligence and logic. Sage Vishwamitra was also called Raja Rishi because he was a king turned a monk, actually composed the very famous, potent, and powerful Gayatri Mantra, which is till date practiced by every Hindu in his or her household. Now, this shows the connection between the Kundalini serpent, the Kundalini chakra, the subtle bodies, the mode of material nature, and the false ego of a human living entity. The permutation and combination of all this gives the required coloring to this society, and it plays a large role or a title role in developing and evolving the psyche of a human living entity. The more cerebral one becomes, the more he tries to accept the vibrations of the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, or the causal body of intelligence and logic. In the material world, intellectuals, philosophers, great thinkers, scientists, researchers, analysts, professionals from various walks of life, etc., listen to their own vibration from the causal body of intelligence. The more cerebral they become, the lesser emotional or physical they remain. It is a gradual process of graduating from physical vigor, strength, adrenaline, and testosterone to the feelings, the emotions, the thoughts, etc., and ultimately to intelligence, philosophy, and logic. The relationship between the three subtle bodies, the Kundalini serpent, and the six chakras, actually seven chakras, of which the seventh we will discuss in the next video, plus the three modes of material nature and the false ego are the four major factors in giving a collective psych behavior and understanding of any average human living entity and his or her karma, destiny, action, etc. in this material world. We must all remember this and try only to grow slowly but steadily from the Kundalini chakras of Mooladhara and Swadhisthana, which are basically lusty and physical, to the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, which rule the third and fourth chakras, namely Manipuraka and Anahata chakra, and then step by step graduate to the third pair of the lower six chakras, namely Vishuddha or Vishuddhi and the Agya chakra. The more cerebral we become, the more we listen to the other subtle bodies of causal intelligence, logic, astral mind, feelings, emotions, etc. We become slowly but steadily more evolved. The ultimate aim for every human living entity, whether male or female, is to ultimately get self realized through meditation in the Agya chakra. Then, after getting self realized, try to get liberated from this cycle of repeated births and deaths in this material world. And once this happens and we get liberated, we, as fully evolved spiritual souls, go back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This process is known as deliverance. This is all I wanted to talk in this particular video about the Agya Chakra, meditation, contemplation, etc. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert opinions, thoughts, and ideas so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.